one. All right.
Got it.
Hello. My name is Jade Winslow. I'm in this COMM class, and we are doing our group Zoom meeting. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, whoever wants to go next.
Hello, my name's Bryce. Just big chillin', also in the same class, getting this done.
I'm Lily Anderson.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm Jamie Wacker.
Sweet. Okay. And we are going to be answering the questions for this Zoom. The first one is a prompt that says, oh my God, think about your social identities. And now we're going to introduce ourselves again. My name is Jade Winslow. One thing that you cannot tell just by looking at me is I have broken all 10 of my fingers playing football. This is important for me to tell you because I feel like it's a pretty unique thing to brag about. And okay. Yeah, that's basically me.
Did you want to just run through them all, or do you want us to just
Oh,
trade
sure.
off every?
I don't yeah, I can or
I think we should trade off.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
the second one is based on this. What did we learn about each
Oh,
person?
gotcha. All right,
All right.
Jamie, you go next.
One thing you don't know by looking at me is I have ADHD and my mom is from Guyana.
And why is this important?
I think it's important to know because the ADHD thing really affects how I learn. So I'll just be constantly like multitasking or thinking about two things at once. And I feel like the other thing is important to my identity and how my worldview was shaped.
Lily, you want to go?
Yeah, my name's Lily. One thing you can't tell just by looking at me, is that I just transferred to Western, this quarter. And this is important because I'm still sort of trying to figure out, or it's just a big transition, I guess. So still kind of getting my bearings.
Nice. Okay. Hello, my name is Bryce. One thing you cannot tell by looking at me is that I've lost a lot of weight, and so and that's important for me to tell you because I'm like very mindful of like the things I do and trying to stay like super healthy. And so I just eat a lot of weird things.
Nice. So good to know each and every one of you. Based on this exercise, what did you learn about each other? I think everybody is unique in their own way. I think everybody had a very like a multitude of answers, you know, some things that relate heavily to themselves and some things that are just for bragging, you know. But yeah, I think it's cool learning how everyone views themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see what people think is important, or yeah, I guess like important about themselves.
I agree with Lily. I think it's really interesting what people chose to talk about themselves, and it really gives you perspective on what people think when they are first viewed by people.
Yeah, I agree. And like, like you talk about your ADHD, I would have never even said anything or brought anything up. And then like with Jaden's fingers, I couldn't imagine breaking 10 bones, and I'm only at 2. So yeah, it's pretty different stuff.
Sweet. Awesome. Now we're going to move on to the second question, which is about race. The first part of it is, at what age in your life were you introduced or taught about race? Um, I think it was probably for me, I think I first really learned about race in like my last year of elementary school, beginning of middle school. I went to a predominantly Black elementary and middle school. And when I would talk with my friends from elementary school, they would talk about the issues that they were dealing with as opposed to the issues that my friends who were Black are dealing with. And it was very different in terms of like how society deems like first world problems, if you guys kind of know what I mean. Like a lot of my like white friends would say like their mom is like taking their game system away for like 2 days, but a lot of my Black friends would say that like, in sixth grade they're getting stopped by police officers or security guards at different places and asked like what they're doing and stuff. So just kind of saw the differences between what people deal with. So yeah. And I think it's Lily next.
I don't really know. I was probably in elementary school. I feel like it was my mom bringing up something about I have two cousins that are half Black, and so it was probably something about that. And kind of the opposite of Jade, I went to elementary, middle, and high schools, to be quite honest, that were predominantly white because I grew up here. And yeah, I remember in third grade, a Black kid joined our class, and it was like a deal. So yeah, kind of the opposite of Jade, I guess.
Um, for should I go next?
Yeah,
Sure.
it's you,
Yeah,
Taylor.
you could go next.
For me, I felt like race was always like a thing because I knew that my mom was different than my dad, but I didn't really know the distinctions, and I didn't really think it really mattered. I don't think I like realized that I was like a minority until I got to like, I don't know, sixth grade or something. And I just remember like middle school, high school, that's when people started asking like, what like race are you, or where are you from? Are you a mix of this and this? And stuff like that. And I feel like in sixth grade it was like more like there were more like racism or like little things where people would call each other names and like uh use stereotypes a lot in like middle school, and that's where we kind of talked about it more.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Oklahoma and I actually lived on an Indian reservation for like 10 years. And so like I was like the only white kid there. And I'd like never heard really anything like negative about my race, just the fact that I kind of like stuck out, like I was the minority there. And then moving up here to Washington, it was quite like the culture shock, like just having just a lot of white people around. And so I didn't really observe or like learn anything about like being different races just because I grew up with a ton of people who weren't my race, but they were never really mean to me. So I never had to like deal with any of that.
Nice, awesome. All right. And then I could B was, why were you introduced to race at that point in your life? I guess to reiterate, for myself, it's because of a transition of seeing different perspectives, because as pretty much a lot of us know, most of our friends from like elementary and middle school or even high school all went to different schools, than us. Like just how it happened. So I think that's why I was introduced to it at that point, was because I was being social with friends. I think my phone had a lot to do with it too, because you can just communicate with anyone at any time with a phone. So yeah.
Yeah, I think mine was pretty much the same as you. I don't know. I mean, it was never like I was like sat down and like this
Yeah.
is what it is. So it wasn't like a, distinct moment. It was sort of like an overtime kind of thing. And honestly, like question C, who influenced? Is that meaning like who influenced the conversation about it? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was probably like I'd say once I got to middle school and high school, it was probably like because of teachers that I like learned about it at the time I did. Because my parents didn't really talk to me about it a lot. But yeah.
I feel like in some ways it was the teachers who introduced those ideas, but I didn't really like conceptualize those ideas until like uh I don't know, I was a little older, and I felt like there were just a few like really messed up people in my school who would just stereotype things. And um I feel like those people kind of introduced those ideas. Even though like they were there, I didn't really notice them until that person came along in my school. And then more and more I started to notice people kind of using that language or saying those types of things. And I think I didn't really view some of those things as even that bad until like way later, uh after middle school, because then you kind of see the effect that it has on people, especially in high school. Like I feel like people kind of use those slurs when you're like very young, and then it affects minorities as they go through high school because they feel like, oh, I'm just a part of this stereotype.
Yeah, I know for me, like I kind of answered all of these at the same time. I'm sorry, that's what I thought we were doing. But I think another way like I got like influenced was when I moved here, my buddy who was half black, and like he had to switch schools and everything because people were just saying a lot of racist stuff towards him, and like the way he played it off is I didn't think about it as racism. I just thought of it as like bullies and like mean people. And so I didn't really like pay any attention to it until I got older and was able to like differentiate between racism and being a bully and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that we pretty much have answered
Yeah.
basically all the questions. Like even the last one, a lot of us said like what did we observe or learn, and we all kind of have reflected on that. And so I think we can just kind of move on to the next part if you guys are cool with it.
I'm done.
This one is privilege. So for the first one, that's do you guys feel better if we just kind of if I read off all the questions and you guys just kind of answer it in line like how Bryce kind of did and how
Yeah, like just
Ridley did?
ABC. Yeah.
Yeah, we can totally do that. Okay. So the first one is, what privileges do you have? Just keep in mind, what have you done with the privileges that you have? And then keep in mind that people in marginalized groups refuse being pitied. However, they are seeking systematic change. Think of the role that you can play to facilitate systematic change after reading and applying the course content this quarter. That's not really questions, so just answer A and B. So, what privileges do I have? I mean, I've talked about it in class before. I've talked about it with you guys before. Is I'm a white passing Latino, so a lot of the sort of racial stereotypes and discrimination that like my peers would get. I never received it, I remember telling in class about how my friends would get searched at malls and stuff like that, but I wouldn't. Like they would, um to just add to the story, a lot of the security officers and police officers would tell me to not hang out with my friends because I could get in more trouble than I'm looking for. So that's sort of the privileges that I've had. And then what have I done with them? Uh I don't know. That kind of sounds like a messed up question because it's like, using your privilege to gain um advantage, but I guess because I'm white passing, it was easier for me to steal stuff from stores, like yeah, people wouldn't find, people wouldn't really accuse me of that sort of thing, even though I would have like a ton of stuff in my pockets, but I guess that's how I used my privilege.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, my privileges are that I'm white, upper middle class. And I mean, I think I've been able to do a lot with my privilege that I don't even realize that I do. And that's like the whole point of privilege is you don't even realize you're using it. I mean, I'm seeking higher education. I don't have to worry about, being searched in a mall. I don't have to worry about being profiled. Like I kind of just am in my little bubble and spend my privilege every day. Um and that's definitely one thing, like after taking this class, like I'm more aware of how often I'm using my privilege, and I'm trying to start to think of ways that I can use it to help the marginalized groups. And for me, it's probably going to be like small steps just because I'm still trying to educate myself. So I do it in a correct way that doesn't like offend people. Yeah, so I'm still kind of working on that last piece of it, I'd say.
Um, I would say, um, in terms of like race, I'm a very light-skinned person, and uh, most of the time I've had like an easy time in terms of most situations. Like I've lived a privileged life. I've had lots of opportunities and stuff like that. And I would say like one way I've kind of used that like privilege is that I've tried to like put myself in like positions of power so that I can help other people who are alike to me. Um, that's that's really what I've tried to do because I don't want to just use my privilege to just get things for me. I want to use my privilege to help other people around me. And so like in high school, I was always like I would go to a lot of like school meetings. I would sit in on like things like that, um, trying to make sure that more minorities were hired or something like that and help with that process. And I feel like that's how I've used my privilege as being like more light skinned, or I'm not looked at as like a threat compared to other people, which a lot of people are. What's the last part of the question again?
Well, it was just what what have you done with your privileges, and then it was just kind of keep in mind that marginalized groups of people don't want to be pitied. They'd rather see systematic change, but it's not necessarily a question. I think you answered it pretty well though, Jamie.
Yeah. I feel like
Oh,
you
Go
can
ahead.
go. You can.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
you go, Bryce.
Okay. I was going to say for me, just being white male. I've never really had to like put up with much, just kind of hang out, kick back. And I will say with my friend who is half black, like I have noticed like slight differences. Like I'll, go to the store with my hood up, no issue. He does it and we're being followed. And just like little things like that, but nothing like super major as far as what I do with my privilege. I would just say like, stick up for people who like are going through different things and like not be afraid to vouch for people and like put myself out there to say like, well, you wouldn't do it if it was me. Like, and so just small things like that, like I could always do more. But just try to keep it in mind and just realize what I have.
Awesome. Before I go on to the next question, I think it's kind of messed up that everyone took the high road with how they use their privilege, and I was the one that had to say I stole and stuff. But well, I'll move on.
We never
Yeah,
stole.
Yeah, I said that I
Did-
use mine all the time.
I was also
Like-
going to say, I forgot to say, that I'm also a male. I've experienced a lot of privilege as a male. Like I know that this class really focuses on like race and stuff like that, but there's also definitely like gender privilege as well, especially when you're a male, and especially like Bryce said, a white male, So I wanted to highlight
Very much.
that as
I
well.
was gonna call you out.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
No, but for real. Definitely as a male, I have experienced a lot more privilege, especially like within like my family. I'm sure like if you guys have brothers or anything, you've experienced it as well, even if there's like a slight favoritism towards them. Be like, I used to beat up on my sister, and like if she beat up on me, they'd get mad at her because like, boys will be boys kind of thing. But I don't want to go too far into that. If you guys have any other comments, though, you're more than welcome to like share.
I was gonna like don't have any brothers, but like I have a brother-in-law, and I just like I've experienced a lot of sexism within my family and stuff like that. We've had lots of conversations about it, and I just feel like there's this weird uncomfortableness with like all your male relatives usually. And
Oh,
yeah, but
sorry. You go ahead. I think I know what you're about to say.
oh, you can go ahead first because I was gonna move on to a different thing.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's a other like huge part of like male privilege is I don't have to feel like my family members are going to be creepy towards me. You know what I mean? Like that has like my girlfriend the other day was telling me about like I don't want to share too much, but a family member that was very like creepy towards her, and I had never experienced that because like one, my family is a good family, but also because I'm a male and I feel like more females in like families get um unfortunately sexualized a lot more and early too sometimes, which is so sad. But went off on a little tangent. We can move on to the
Yeah,
next one.
I've
Yeah, go ahead,
definitely
Jenny.
experienced that, and for me, like people will say that it's a privilege that you can be around kids and you don't feel like you're being like seen as a predator or whatever by like
Mhm.
men in my family, and it's just like okay, but I have to like put on different clothes and stuff like that, and I'm more sexualized and stuff, and it just like hurts because you don't get it.
Yeah, no, totally. I've heard stories of like of families saying, "Oh, your uncle is coming, change out of that skirt." Like that's
Mhm.
disgusting. Even as like a parent, like trying to protect your child, that's disgusting that you'd let someone into the house like that. Anyways, super off topic, but I feel like because racism is a big focus in this class, I think gender should also be highlighted because there is definitely privilege with gender. So moving on to the fourth question, or are we on the third? Oh yeah. So fourth question has white fertility or fragility. Sorry, not fertility, fragility and white supremacy. So the first question is how do white fragility and white supremacy differ? The second one is, what role has white fragility and white supremacy played in your life? And then C is, how has white fragility prevented you through fear, discomfort, anger from doing meaningful work around your own personal anti-racism to date? I can repeat that third question when we get to it because that was a lot.
I
but
really wanna. Can I go first?
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm excited about this question because I feel like fragility, it, like I think of it like how Martin Luther King Jr. said of uh, like it's harder to like change the ideas of like a white Democrat compared to like a white racist, and that's what I think of um how like there are a lot of people who are like, I'm for your cause, but I'm not willing to do anything to look at my own biases and stuff like that. While there's other people who are like severely racist. And that's how I kind of think of it. And I feel like in my own life, there's been a lot of people who are like, oh, I'll be like, I put on like protests before or in my high school and stuff like that. And I've been like, hey, come join this protest. And I think they're gonna support my cause, but they don't. They don't want to show up to things like that. And they don't want to show support for anything like that. Or just like little things, like I would always do like little things to make people angry, like change certain social media posts wording and stuff like that, just to like, because I know the wording matters to the people most affected by it, but for the people least affected by it, they're like, why'd you do that? Oh, why is that a thing? Well, I'm like, I did that because you don't think about it that way usually. And I feel like, I don't know, people just show less support with like white fragility because they feel like they've already done the work. And I just feel like that's the main part about white fragility.
That's a really good take, Jamie. I think that's pretty cool that you would organize protests at your high school. I wish I had done that more often. Like I would go to the protest, but I wish I had organized more because I feel like it would have been
They
kind of
weren't
fun.
very good organizations, but like
But
it's
still,
something I did.
but still you like took the action. That's more than
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
probably the rest of us could say, unless like Bryce has led a protest or something, or Lily.
No.
In your
Yeah,
30 years of life.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think the difference between white fragility and white supremacy is, white fertility is very much like white people are bad, like all white people are racist. Like this is what white people like regurgitate, is like all white people are racist, all white people like are uncomfortable talking about race because they don't want to look racist, and all that. And then white supremacy is just literally like the white race is the dominant race. So sorry, by the way, I made Play-Doh today and my hands are stained. So I'm just like wiping them right now. Lily or Bryce, do you guys have anything to add?
Um,
Go ahead, Lily.
no, not really. I mean, I had shared in our presentation like what my mom has said to me before, and like if that isn't a prime example of both of them, honestly, but mostly white fragility, then I don't know what is.
Right.
So that's definitely played a role in my life. Yeah.
What did your mom say?
She has like made comments to my sister and I that we shouldn't date a black guy or date or marry or be with because like it'll make life harder, and if we have kids it'll make life harder on them. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's
it's
like so sorry.
yeah.
It's like
I don't think we can
borderline
swear in
racist.
this, but yeah.
That's like borderline racist.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
No, it is racist.
It is. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's really mind-boggling that
how
so
recent
much
did she
happened.
say that?
Yeah.
She say that recently, or has she just said that growing up?
No, it was a while ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like people had an awakening after the pandemic and like Black Lives Matter.
yeah.
People are a little bit better now, but not all the way. People
Well,
like
I'll
and
try
when
to
notice
she
feel-
had
more.
said it, like it caught me so I was like probably I was maybe like a freshman in high school-ish, 8th grade freshman in high school. So like I didn't know how to respond to it then. Like I wasn't gonna have like an adequate
Yeah.
or eloquent response to that. Now I feel like I could, but yeah, Bryce.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much covered it all. And like, I think the one time like I had my grandma say something like that to my sister, and my dad, just like in the book, absolutely called her out and just ripped her a new one, saying how like it does not involve her, it's nothing she has to worry about, whatever they want to do, that's their choice. And so I got to see that side of it, and then I got to, see the other side of it, to where it's just, oh, she's sensitive to this issue, or like, just like we just shouldn't bring it up and just stuff like that.
Sweet. Okay. I feel like we've done pretty well covering this.
Yeah.
The fifth question has to do with white supremacy. It's based on an article from our first module on equity and anti-racism terms. So we all remember that. So the first one is given that white supremacy existed before we were born, at least 400 years ago, probably more with imperialism. Within the last few weeks and years, why is there more conversation about it in the media and our daily lives? And then the second one is, since we have all been immersed into systems of white supremacy, please list and explain 3 of the 13 characteristics / descriptors of white supremacy that you personally have applied in your life and why. What have you begun? This is the third one. What have you begun to see and understand about your personal complicity in white supremacy that you were not able to see or understand before you began the assigned reading?
We have 4 minutes left. Should we
I can
end this and then
and then
restart?
yeah, hey, don't piss. Oh, hold on, my cat's pissing on the street. Get out of here. Sorry.
Yeah, just end
Sorry.
it and then bring us back.
Okay, well, we're not going to end on me saying my cat was peeing. So, great conversation, guys. I will make a new Zoom link and send it in the Discord, and then I will make sure that this is like saved and recorded well. Okay.
Okay.
Sweet. I'll see you guys in just a second.